Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Write or Die Show. I'm your host, Randi-lee. On the show, we interview other writers and we talk about mental health from their personal journeys. If you have not already hit that like and subscribe button, go ahead, do that now so that you never miss an episode. So I want to say a big welcome back to our guest. Hello, Dave.
Oh,
Or
Randy,
David.
great.
Which one do you prefer?
David. David is where I go. Now, if my mom and dad were still here, they would say Dave, but the rest of the world calls me David. So yeah, Randy, it's great to be back with you. It's been a while.
It has. It has.
And I love the way your studio is set up. It looks awesome.
Thanks. Yes, I've moved up from the basement. I think you were definitely on the show when I was downstairs.
Yep.
So I'm moving on
Like the
up.
Jeffersons.
Yes, which is before my time, but I do know the reference.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So if you have not been with us since the beginning of the show, if you go back to episode 20, you will see David Essel's first interview on the show. So obviously we're conversation style. Things change. It's been about a year, so we're gonna see what's going on now. So
Yeah.
for those who don't know who you are, who are you?
Who am I? That's a great question, Randy. I've been in this business of personal growth for 43 years. Started in 1980 in the world of sports psychology, worked with athletes, bodybuilders, all these different people with their heads, getting their heads
Mm.
straight for whatever activity they were in. And then in 1990, I burned out in the world of sports psychology, and I'm still in it. But I was so overwhelmed with the constant sameness, I guess you could say, that
Yep.
I needed a break. And my brain really works well when there's a lot of different things going on. But if I'm stuck in a pattern, I can get, I don't want to say bored, Randy, but I can sort of get, what would the word be? Yeah, bored.
Yeah,
That
I'm
is the
trying to
word.
think of a different word, and I'm like, pretty sure it's just bored.
Yeah. And then I had a great
Complacent,
opportunity.
maybe.
Oh, complacent is a great one. That is
That, that
awesome,
that's a nice word.
Yeah. And then I had a surprise client that came in, and we thought it was going to be about sports psychology, but our whole work was about her and relationships. And so all of a sudden, 1990, everything switched. And I fell so in love with the relationship work. Then I became an all faith minister. And so that gave me the background in regards to family counseling and marriage counseling and all that kind of stuff, which was awesome. Gosh, I think we have our 13th book is coming out in about 30 days. So
Wow.
yeah. And since we've seen you last, let's see if I have we've come out with several books, Helping Americans Heal, The Ultimate Guide to Healing During These Challenging Times. And then I have a book,
Wow.
I don't have it in front of me, but it's The Ultimate Gratitude Journal. And
Uh,
we teach, it sounds like so mundane. Oh, another gratitude journal, but we
I
teach.
I've been getting into making those too. So
Yeah. Oh, that's
there's
so
a
cool.
thing. Yeah.
And right now in the temperature of our country, the temperature of the world, I mean, we need anything and every kind of anchor possible to help us stay in a somewhat balanced mindset. If we could even come close to that right now, that would be
Right.
miraculous,
Yeah.
because there's just so much insanity. So
Yeah.
and with the gratitude journal, we do it totally differently. We ask people to write not only about what they're grateful for every day, but what are their challenges. We want to do the
Yes.
yin yang approach to
Yeah.
gratitude journaling.
Gratitude, like you're saying, they're kind of the way things are going now. And I love that you have the challenges part in yours. That is very cool
Yeah.
because it's not in enough of them.
Yeah.
This one's mine that I did last year. Be
Oh, be selfish.
selfish.
Yes, 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 yes.
So I tried to do a little different too. So I got like the journaling prompts or whatever, but then I put
Yeah.
in like well, I put workouts because I'm a personal trainer, so I put little
Yeah.
workouts, mazes, and like
Which
different little activities because
Right.
I love all that little stuff and like
Yeah.
coloring pages and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
more than just the journal side. It's got 365 activities.
Oh my gosh, awesome. And we're hitting both sides of the brain, right? The left brain, the right brain,
Yeah.
the left brain that's that analytical, deep thinking, organized type of thing. Then the right brain, the free spirit, the creative, the spiritual, the artistic. And so in your man, or the book you just showed, it looks like you're offering both sides of the brain.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
Randy, and that's really crucial, because a lot of times in books we get lost, the authors get lost in
Hmm.
writing about basically their beliefs, but we don't include people outside of our zone.
Yes.
In in one of our books, Focus, Slay Your Goals, we actually explain the whole right brain, left brain condition, and we say that it's malleable, and
Hmm.
a very famous term that people love to throw around, neuroplasticity of the brain.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And we
So
can
for those,
come from a
sorry, for those that are listening that have never heard the term
yeah.
neuroplasticity, let them know what that means.
Yeah. What it basically means is that the brain can be retrained, that you can teach old dogs new tricks, that you don't have to worry about, the fact that you're 70 years old or 80 or 90. You can learn new ways of thinking, living, breathing, meditating, relaxing, so the brain is open to being changed and challenged throughout our whole existence. But up until now, we've kind of stayed stuck. I'll tell you, one of the greatest studies that came out probably 30 years ago, just to show how important it is to keep the brain active on both sides, is that they did this massive study of nuns, and they wanted to know why, besides the grace of God, how do
Hmm.
they live so long? How do they keep their passion up? How do they keep their energy up? And one of the things they found is that the nuns that did crossword puzzles, the nuns that did artwork, the nuns that expressed themselves in these type of creative ways had less brain deterioration. Let's go back to neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
They were sharper. They were more communicative. They were more connected to the different types of society generations underneath them. Now, this is crucial.
Hmm.
A lot of times as we age, we get very stuck in our mindset. We don't
Yes.
open ourselves up to generations that are coming up
Right.
later on in
That
life.
makes me picture the grumpy old man sitting on his porch in his rocking chair. Get off of my yard.
Right, exactly. So with these type of things, with this whole new concept of neuroplasticity, what we're saying is the beliefs that you've held from childhood about politics or religion or money or relationships in your later years can absolutely be changed into the positive. So that grumpy old man you're talking about, we have activities to do, or grumpy old woman, let's be equal
Oh
here.
yeah, I totally plan to be a grumpy old woman.
Yeah. And so we say, hey, there's things that you can do to radically change your approach to life, your joy in life, regardless of what you've gone through. And one of the things, Randy, that is so crucial to talk about right now, and this is just on, it should be on the top of everyone's mind, is how most of us, 90% of our country has completely let go of the concept of personal growth, self-care.
Yeah.
So when we're talking gratitude journals, that's one of the many tools that can help turn people around. But the
Hmm.
mental health in this country is really hurting.
Yeah.
It is all over the world, but because we're Canada, U.S. I mean, we're all basically one huge
Oh
mass.
yeah, definitely.
I,
And I'm
I
so
mean,
close to the states that we really mimic a lot of what's going on there.
yeah, exactly. And so we really need to start focusing on things that like gratitude journaling. We need to focus on time for self-care. And I see a new
So
star
here's
for the show.
here's a great way to do self-care. Have a
Yeah, that's
pet.
right.
So this is Mr. Fridgie. Here, say hello, Mr. Fridgie.
Oh, Mr.
There you go.
Friggy. Yes, I
Um,
see him.
for those who don't have the joy of seeing my cat on camera because you're listening through the podcast, he is a fat tabby cat.
Mm.
Um, and actually, he has a mental health related story of how we ended up with him. So, um, Mr. Fridge, and I don't think I've actually ever shared this on the show yet. Mr. Fridge, got his name because when the Humane Society found him or retrieved him, I'm not exactly sure if it was like randomly found or they were going in knowing that there was going to be cats there, but he was in a hoarder's house and they found him hiding in a fridge. Hence,
Wow.
Mr. Fridge is his
Yes,
name.
yes.
So when we went to the cat adoption place, so it's actually right in our mall, they have like that cat adoption place. And
Mhm.
I saw his name and I read his story. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to come home with me. And I would
Uh,
sometimes we change their names when you bring them home.
yeah.
I was like, nope, Mr. Fridge is like, it's just so funny, like of a name.
Yes.
And then the story, it
Yes.
goes right along with mental health. It's unfortunate that he was in a hoarder's house
Yeah.
because that is a mental health condition. I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever even had one on the show. I would love anybody who's listening right now. I would love if you could connect with somebody who is willing to talk about
Yeah.
hoarding from their personal perspective. That would be
Yeah.
amazing to add to the show.
Well, it's a serious addiction.
Mhm.
It's not just that people like to collect newspapers or magazines or something like that. I mean, it's a serious addiction. And so when we're talking about mental health and you brought up animals, listen, there's been studies in dentist offices about aquariums. And those dentists that
Yes.
put aquariums in their offices, their clients are much calmer. So you can have a
Yes.
goldfish at home, right? You could have your own little goldfish bowl. And here's the key: when we as human beings have responsibility for something other than ourselves, which is what a goldfish would require, believe
Yep.
it or not, you've got to feed the goldfish, you've got to change the water.
Yep.
And
Heck, even
and
a
what we
plant.
oh, a plan is another thing. Anything that you are responsible for enhances mental health. It gets us out of ourselves, Randy. And
Yeah.
that's just crucial. Now, I will say this to you, for people that are thinking of getting a goldfish. There was a goldfish raising expert who said the average goldfish should last in your home 40 years.
Holy crap. I've
Yeah.
never even heard of somebody having a goldfish for more than like a couple of years.
Yeah, or even a couple months, and
Oh,
what
yeah.
he said is that what's missing is you have to treat a goldfish like you would tropical fish. They have to have the aerator in their little bowl or tank. The water has to be at a certain pH and it has to be refreshed certain. And if you do that, he has goldfish that have lasted 55 years
Which makes
because of the
sense to me.
yeah,
Like fish do tend to live very long lives when they're out in the wild.
in the wild. So, but if we have a goldfish
Unless
at
they get
home.
eaten.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If we have a goldfish at home and they're in a bowl the size of a cup, well, let's not expect it to last very long. But if you
Yes.
actually have even a small 5 gallon or 2 gallon aquarium that comes with the aerator, etc., it's one way to enhance our mental health. And so whether it's cats, dogs, fish, I mean, and I'll say this to you, I'm not a snake fan. I mean, I like snakes outside, but not in my house.
Yeah.
But there are people I know that find outrageously calming of their anxiety when they pick up and pet their snake.
Yeah.
So let's broaden this whole thing and say, hey, listen, if you're suffering like most Americans and probably Americans and Canadians are struggling with mental health. So we're just talking about a couple keys. If you're struggling with depression, anxiety, overwhelm, and I'll tell you another massive addiction that is all over the world is procrastination of taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
People are waiting and waiting and waiting. And then what happens is that if you were 2 or 3 years ago thinking, okay, I've got to take care of this addiction, I've got to take care of this depression, anxiety, and you haven't, well, it could have easily tripled in strength by now.
Yeah.
So we're encouraging people, take your mental health seriously.
And
This is what, go right ahead.
not just mental health, but your physical health. So, what was it? I guess almost 5 years ago now. I went to the doctor, had my womanly checkup, whatever, which was late. I kept putting it off because I didn't have time to take care of myself, like you're saying, right? I
Yeah.
had that was when my son was going through a lot. We were getting diagnosis, we were trying to get supports in place. So the focus was on him and him alone. So by the time I finally got around to going and having my physical, it was, I think, probably a good 2 years past when it was supposed to be done. Had cancer. Had I
Oh,
taken care of myself and went before, they would have
yeah.
caught it earlier. Now, granted, they
Right.
still caught it fairly early.
Right.
Obviously, I'm good now. Um,
Yes.
but I always tell women now, don't put it off at all, not even a little bit. Go
Yeah.
as soon as you need to. And same with guys. I mean, you guys have
Sure.
to go at certain times to go get prostate exams or whatever. So
Yeah.
make sure that you're also taking care of your physical health because they go hand in hand, really.
Yeah, they do. Well, if you're, and you as a personal trainer know that if you're even walking on a daily basis, you're releasing endorphins.
Yep.
One thing that we've found over the years is that if someone if they don't have any kind of physical limitations, the best thing to do is to do high intensity exercise. It releases more endorphin in the brain. It increases metabolic rate, so to help you burn body fat even when you're sleeping. There's something called the HIIT system, which is high intensity
Yes.
training. And the way that's done, you can do it walking, for gosh sake. You'd walk as fast as you can for 40 seconds, and then you'd
Yep.
slow it down for 40 seconds, right? And then, or a minute, or whatever interval you want to do. But the more we do these kind of things, the more endorphins in the brain, the more we have a better chance of handling, if not releasing, depression, anxiety, PTSD. Those usually need professional help on top of exercise and other self-care.
But it is a good first kind of stepping stone, right? And we talk a lot about coping strategies on the show, and those are coping strategies, having your animals, doing your exercises. They're all different types of coping strategies to help with the mental health.
That's right.
So,
and now's the time to take care of it. Don't wait any longer.
So earlier in the show, you said being bored, but it has been a little bit of burnout too. Being bored and burnout can kind of go together. So I want to kind of go back there only because we haven't talked a lot about that on the show. So taking you way back to what, early 90s, you said?
Yes, way back.
Oh my gosh, it really is now. So how was it that you were feeling at that time? Not just bored. I'm sure there was more to it, because I know when I got burned out at work, it was more than being bored. Like, I was bored with the routine, same thing every day. I mean, how many ways can I say that you served food differently for a resume?
Yeah, right, exactly.
So there was a boredness to it, but there was more to it than just that. How about you?
Well, I think most of us, we start to actually get disappointed in maybe our career choices, or, we start to find we're putting less energy into what we used to love to do. Now it's kind of, a pain in the butt in some way. It may not go that deep. It may just be that you're going through the motions, but you're not receiving the joy out of your career that you did 10 years earlier. And that's what really woke me up. But the other thing, Randy, that woke me up, and it was a very strong wake up, is that over those 10 years, I had started to increase my alcohol intake quite dramatically. In 1990, the very year we're talking about, that everything shifted. Before I met that client that I started my relationship with, I had a failed suicide attempt.
And we talked about that on episode 20, guys. Go back. It's really good.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. People looked at me and, on Lifetime television called me Mr. Motivation. We had all these kind of accolades going down. But, and when we look at people, most people present a face to the world that you're confident, that you're happy, or on social media, that everything is great. Now this was before social media, so I didn't have a chance to promote my falsehood on social media. But, it was true. I was really struggling deeply. And the great news, and this is going to sound a little oxymoronic, but the great news of the failed suicide attempt, I mean, there's many great things that came out of it. But number one, we found through testing afterwards that I had a lot of mental health issues that were never diagnosed since childhood.
Yeah.
So, here I am, however old I was in 1990. I don't do math well, backwards for sure. 1 + 1 I can handle, but anything more than that, I usually have an assistant or a computer next to me. So, but we really don't know what's going on until you hit a bottom, right? And that was a serious bottom. But I learned so much, and I learned that I was covering up dealing with life through alcohol. Other people use food. Other people use social media to divert themselves from taking care of their self-care. Other people use conspiracy theory and arguing about politics to cover up what's really going on inside. So that was a major breakthrough. And then when I found out afterwards and went through testing and found out that I had all these undiagnosed challenges since childhood, clinical depression, generalized anxiety disorder, and much more, it really, really shocked me, because I had been told that I was Mr. Motivation. I had bought into all that, but I wasn't paying attention to my lifestyle choices. So, there's a lot of people, entrepreneurs especially, because there's a lot of pressure on us to continue to produce and produce and produce, that we could be burned out. Depression is a sign of burnout. Loss of joy of normal activities is a sign of depression and burnout. Oversleeping or undersleeping, signs of depression or burnout. Overeating, undereating, signs of depression or burnout. Over drinking, so there's all these signs, Randy, that are hitting us in the face. And if the people with us today, if you'd really sit down and look in the mirror and ask yourself, what habits are holding me back right now? Is it procrastination? Is it a lack of joy? Is it an overuse of food or alcohol or pot or nicotine? Like, what is it that I'm not dealing with that could really open up my world and my life to be more joyful? It's a great question.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to work with a professional to find the answer, because the brain is very tricky in convincing us that everything is fine
Oh
when it's
yeah.
not.
Everything is awesome. The Lego song.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it always makes me think of. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes I feel like you don't even realize that you're in that state until somebody else points it out. Like sometimes I don't even realize that I'm in one of my depressive episodes until somebody else points it out. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's so hard to self-diagnose, my Lord. And
Mm-hmm.
and let's talk about why. So there's two parts of the brain. There's a conscious mind. I'm going to point right here. The mind that says, hey, Randy's show is on at this time. I want to make it. And so maybe we put it in our phone or our schedule or something like that. Okay, then there's the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is really the driver of our life and about 90% of our decisions. We think we're making them consciously, but it's not true. So you put your phone and the alarm comes on. It says Randy's show starts in 5 minutes. And all of a sudden there's this little voice back here that says, you know, let's go for a walk. And I know I could learn from Randy's show, or let's get something to eat, or, I want to sleep in a little bit. So I'm going to miss her show
Mm-hmm.
today, but I'll catch it next week. Okay. That's the difference between a conscious mind of intent that says, I want to read this book, watch this show, start to lose weight, go to the gym. That's all consciousness. But if we don't follow through, that's because there's a block from the subconscious mind. Now, listen, this is crucial, that we have set there ourselves by procrastinating over and over and over again. We set an okay mode in the subconscious that's just our life. We procrastinate. It's okay. We come up with justifications, rationalizations, or denial. I don't really need to lose this weight. I don't really need to get out there and exercise. Yeah, I joined the club, which many people do on January 1st of every year.
Mm-hmm.
But, I've gone for 30 days and I haven't lost the weight I wanted to. So I don't think the gym is for me. That's the subconscious. And, in all of our books, Randy, we talk very deeply about how do you change the subconscious mind from a saboteur, which is procrastination and excuses of
Mm-hmm.
why we aren't making those positive lifestyle changes. How do we turn that around to make it an ally?
Yeah.
And the example I give is that most people, when they get up before they leave for work in the morning, they brush their teeth.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too. And most people do. But that's a conscious thought that was given to us by whoever raised us, our role models when we were kids, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa. So they taught us. And of course, in the beginning, kids always say the same thing. The brush hurts my teeth.
Mm.
The toothpaste stings my gums. But eventually they work through that and it becomes a habit. And so when you get up in the morning, you go to work, you don't get to work and go, oh my God, I forgot to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
See, that, and you don't put a sign on your bathroom mirror that says, don't forget to brush your teeth. That that's
Well.
for most of us anyway. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's a sign that the subconscious has accepted a positive pattern and you don't think anymore. You just do it. There's many people that go to the gym that they don't even think, oh my God, I got to go to the gym and it's going to take all, they just go. They go at 5 a.m. They go at 5 p.m.
Yep.
It's just a habit. They don't have to think about it. That's what we want with our mental health care. We
Mm-hmm.
want people to wake up and instead of grabbing their iPhone, and I'm going to tell people the greatest gift you can give yourself in a second regarding electronics. But, in the morning, and it's going to be something that'll shake some people's souls, trust me. But,
I
in the
think I know
morning,
what you're gonna say, and yeah.
yeah, it's coming quick here, Randy. Get ready. Or if you want to, Randy, take your earplugs out so you don't hear what I'm saying, and then
It's
you're safe
okay.
from.
I know what's coming. You're calling me out, and that's fine. It's totally fine.
It's totally fine. But so we say we're going to meditate and then we don't until we do enough times over and over and over again. And then we just meditate every day. But here's the key. One of the most important keys I can share with mental health. Ultimately, we ask all of our clients the first hour of every day to be completely electronic free.
Yes, I knew it was coming.
Yeah. So most of us have our phones next to our bed and we wake up and flip it over. Where's the important text? What's happening on social media? What's going on with the weather? Blah, blah, blah. But we do know that mental health starts with calmness. It starts with an intention. So if you set an intention every morning, even if you start with the first 15 minutes, Randy, if you don't think that people can handle an hour, because the addiction to electronics is bizarrely huge.
Yes.
iPads, television, radio, social media, you text messaging, all of this, all of the social media stuff. I mean, people are highly addicted to their phones. I have a client in London right now who was on his phone 18 hours a day.
Holy
Now,
crap.
yeah, that's like a huge addiction, right? But listen, if you're on your phone 4 hours a day, you're addicted.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
No
totally
excuse.
am. I
Yeah.
love playing games on my phone. It's so much fun.
And so what happens is that those games or the post on social media releases a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And that dopamine hit wants to get hit again and again. And then we look at the subconscious, and the subconscious says, every time I have a break from 12 to 3, I'm on my phone. So it's a natural pattern that turns into an addiction. But what we're finding with all of the science that's coming out right now with iPhone addiction, iPad addiction, laptop addiction, whatever it might be, is that we are becoming less and less grounded. We're becoming less stable in reality. We're looking at pictures of, individuals that, have millions and millions of dollars, but we don't know what's going on behind the scene. Are they addicts? Are they happy? Are they going through their 5th divorce? We see people with perfect bodies out there, and that's great. Listen, you have a perfect body, but if that's your whole identity, is to just show your body all the time with all the filters and camera angles and all that stuff, God knows what's real and what isn't, right? And so then, we have a lot of women, Randy, that can get very discouraged and look at and have very low confidence and self-esteem when they look at something like an Instagram and all they're seeing is absolute perfection. Perfection.
Me and my friend and I, the one that wrote A Mother's Truth with me, we've actually been talking about writing a book about self-image and that kind of thing, because we've both had, our issues with it, as many have. So we kind of plotted it. We definitely haven't started writing it, but it's
well, and it would be great if even, and just as a thought, if you aimed it at social media, the destruction of self-image via social media or something like that, because really, social media, I think it used to be a good place. I believe when it started, it had good intentions, but for people that are on it a lot, it really destroys mental health. People that are arguing, people that are posting controversial statements and then fighting with everyone that posts underneath it, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, listen, I had, we teach a life coach certification program, and I had an individual go through it. He was an attorney. He went through the program. He wanted to leave the world of his attorney work and become a full-time mental health coach. So he went through, it was great, and so he went through the certification. He started coaching, and about 6 months in, he sent me this text and said, "Hey, I'm having a little challenge here. Could you, spend some time with me on the phone?" And so we talked, and I said, "What's going on?" And he's a great coach, but he said, "David, I got sucked into the vortex of Twitter."
Oh, no.
And he said, "I'm seeing this woman posting all these posts that are untrue, and I'm fighting and arguing with her. And then all of a sudden, she responds to one of my arguments and says, 'Hey, I just saw that you were certified as a mental health coach. You're doing a great job arguing here with me every day.'" And it woke him up. It let him see that he had let the addiction of social media overtake common sense and logic. So here he is as a coach promoting himself, and anyone that's following him is seeing him arguing. So what we say on social media, Tammy, and I'm a firm believer of this, if you post someone and someone disagrees, let it go.
Yeah.
Don't respond.
Yeah. Well, and I always think, would you have a giant argument with them in person? Probably not. I mean, some would. Don't get me wrong. Some definitely would. I don't think as many people who do it online would do it in person.
No, when you can be anonymous, kind of, and live in a different state or a different country, and you
Yeah,
can
exactly. You don't have to look them in the eye.
No. But the thing is that we forget is that every time we defend, justify, argue, we're hurting ourselves.
Mhm.
And that person comes back with another, snide comment, and we respond. Well, there's nothing but negativity going on here. But here's something cool. When you practice emotional regulation, which is something we teach all of our clients, emotional
Mhm.
regulation says this. And this just happened to me the other day, and it was absolutely perfect that we're talking about this. I posted something online that said, until you've reached 365 days of sobriety from any addiction,
Mhm.
food, pot, nicotine, alcohol, sex, spending, it doesn't matter what it is. Until you've been 365 days clean of your addiction, do not post on social media that you're sober. Do not post that I'm 60, 90, 120, I'm 3 months sober. Don't post a damn thing, because you never know until you go through a year of holidays, birthdays, funerals, weddings, everything else
Yeah.
that you can imagine. You don't know if you're going to stay sober. So wait. So, I mean, this is just something we've been teaching for 30 years. And we have a brand new book, Cami, coming out in 30 days. It's called Permanent Alcohol and Life Recovery, going
Okay.
beyond the steps for peace, freedom, and happiness. So we're saying that the 12-step program has some benefits, but we need so much more to keep people sober for life.
Yeah.
So I'm putting up there, you need to be 365. And I've got people calling me names, tearing me apart, all of this kind of this stuff. And I just read it and moved on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to defend, argue. And I even say on the videos I post on Facebook, hey, you may disagree with them, that's fine, but you're never going to hear from me. If you post something below negative, fine, that's fine, but you're not going to have me arguing, and
Yeah.
that's a sign of strong mental health. When you can look at someone who's calling you names.
Resiliency.
What's that?
Resiliency.
Yeah. And also you're using logic,
Logic. That's crazy talk.
which is a missing link in our world today, by the way.
Mhm.
But you're using logic and you're saying, why do I want to feed this negativity? Why do I want to let that person's comment sit there? There's no need to respond. And they'll
Yeah.
come back and respond again, like this guy did, and I didn't respond a second time, so, and it's not just guys that'll try to tear you down. Women will do the same.
Oh,
But
yes, yeah.
hold on to your inner power. Hold on to your mental strength. There's no need to reply. Keep moving forward.
I like that. I really do. So we've already kind of touched on quite a few of your books, but
Mhm.
where will people find them?
Oh, Amazon has everything. We have 12 books out right now on Amazon. Number 13 is coming in 30 days. So if they just go to Amazon, you can get anything you want there. It's all available.
Excellent. And so for mental health, which one are you going to recommend? If they could only buy one for their mental health, which one?
Well, the world of addiction is hugely missing mental health, and so I would say I would actually offer two of the books for mental health. One is a #1 bestseller called Focus, Slay Your Goals. It was selected by bookauthority.org as one of the top 100 goal-setting books ever written.
Wow.
It's the highest award, Cami, that we've ever gotten in the world of publication of books. And they put us right next to Dale Carnegie, which is mind-blowing.
Wow, that
Absolutely.
is. He is
So
like the name.
yeah, he is the dude, and so Focus, Slay Your Goals will be one for mental health. And then the other one is the new one, Permanent Alcohol and Addiction Recovery for Life, because believe it or not, most of us are struggling from some addiction. And in
Yes.
the book, you'll see us talk about codependency, drug addiction. We focus heavily on alcoholism because it's one of the biggest problems in the world today. Dr. James Burton, this liver transplant expert from Colorado, recently came out with a statement on Lisa Ling's show. She's a very famous television host in America. And he said that alcoholism is the largest problem in America today. And this is a doctor that got 24 liver transplant requests in 1 week,
Holy crap.
when normally he gets 1 to 2 a week. And he said, this is a warning for this world. And these aren't, people living underneath the bridge, Cammie. These are you and
No,
me,
no. Yeah.
functioning alcoholics,
Watch,
right?
go to the YouTube channel in the playlist under addiction, and you're gonna meet regular people who hold down regular good jobs, have
Yeah.
families and all that stuff, and you would never know what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, for 30 years, no one had a clue that I was an alcoholic. I mean, no one, my brother, he was the only one that knew. He was the only one I talked openly with,
Okay.
but no one else knew. And we were getting people sober all the time. And so I said, oh, I'm doing fine. If I'm getting all these people sober, I'm fine. But then it came crashing down, and it should have come crashing down. So we really need to look at, the world of mental health. The two books I mentioned are just two of the many we have out there.
Of course.
I think the key, Cammie, the most important thing is that if you're having a hard time on your own, we have to reach out for help. So many of us I didn't. And listen, don't make the mistakes that I made. Even though I'm in this industry, I was struggling for years before I finally asked for help. So don't do what I did. Don't ever follow that example of a professional that says, oh, well, I needed help for 30 days, but now I'm fine. I still work with a therapist every week.
Yep.
I still want to keep myself, on top of my game. And the only way you can do that is with an unbiased outside opinion. Your husband, your wife, your mom, your dad, your kids, your siblings may say you're fine. But we know we're not. If we look in the mirror and we're struggling, we know we need help.
Yeah, that's perfect way to kind of wrap this all up. And where will people follow you? I know we've talked about social media and the negativity or the cons of it, but there are some pros, like following people or podcasts.
Yes,
So
exactly.
where are people going to find you and follow
Well,
you?
we're, all the social media we're on, and it's just my name, David Essel. You won't find any controversy. All you'll find is uplifting quotes, uplifting videos. That's all we do, Cammie. We don't mess around with the nonsense of politics and all of that kind of stuff, but so anywhere on social media, you'll find me under David Essel. Our website is so super easy, talkdavid.com, TALK David.com. It's all I do. So we've named the website after whatever I do, and that's it. But you can go there, and we have hundreds of blogs that you can read absolutely free. And then you can see the different programs. We have specials always going on at some level. People want to work with me one-on-one to elevate and move past a mental health or an addiction or a relationship issue. We do all kinds of work. So just visit talkdavid.com. It's a pretty site. If you just want to see a pretty site, go to a pretty site, but then read the blogs, take a look at all that free information in order to lift yourself up. And then the other thing I'll say, Tammy, is that we have over 2,000 free videos on personal growth on YouTube. 2,000.
Wow, that's
just Google David Essel YouTube, and you can watch all these videos for free. And no matter what topic in the search bar, just put the topic you're looking for, and there's a darn good chance you'll find a video on that.
Perfect. And we're going to stick those links, of course, down in the description below. So thank you again for coming back on the show. Remember to catch more of David's story from the suicide attempt. That would be way back in the early episodes. It's episode 20. So go on back, way back, and check that out. And thank you so much for coming back on the show and sharing some more.
Yeah, absolutely, Tammy. We appreciate the invitation. If we can help in any way, let us know in the future.
Perfect. Bye.
Bye.
As always, thank you so much for the amazing guests that we have on the show. Be sure to check out their links down in the description below. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and check out our merch store. We've got some very cool things on there. That's my favorite. Sorry, I'm busy ending the stigma. But there's some other very cool designs. 10% of the proceeds always goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at RB Media, because we have some great new shows coming up, and you never want to miss any of those episodes. And remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly. Bye.